Hey, son. Today is July the 4th, 2018. This is the first time I've done a video at night, and it's kind of dark in here, so gotta kind of improvise. First rule you always learn work with what you have. Don't cry about what you don't have, but you work with what you have. Golden lesson. Anyway, got this book. It's called Sugar Money, right? And I'm doing this tonight because I just finished this book today. Was off for the 4th, and I am excited about this book. Like, they really should make this book into a movie. And then I heard that it was based on a true story. I'm like, wow. It's about these two brothers. They were born in the island of Grenada, and that's in the Caribbean. Actually, your grandfather went to Grenada a couple of years ago with his church, but I've never been. I will go though soon. They moved to Martinique, another island, because the France owned Grenada. They colonized Grenada. Then the British came and kicked them off with the guys that owned them. It was these two brothers that were slaves, but they left some of the other slaves. So now this is a true story. Now I don't know how he did it, why he did it, but they wanted him to go get to the slaves and sneak them out on a boat and get them to Grenada. Now this guy was a real good guy, because as soon as I got off that boat, I would have ran disappeared somewhere. I wouldn't have been thinking about none of them folk. I would have went in the woods with what they call the Maroons. These were guys that escaped slavery on the islands. I heard about the ones in Jamaica and Brazil. You know, Google that too. Maroons. It was communities of Africans that came. They didn't want to be slaves, so they went and they created their own societies. And they just got away, or they came and stole from the plantations and all at night and all, outlaws. But that's what I would have did. But this guy actually went through it, you know, and the book just describes, like, I mean, there's so much action, because at any moment these guys could have got caught, you know. And one of the brothers was 28, and the guy who's the narrator of the story, he's 12. But the amazing thing is, after everything happened and all, he was able to write about the experience. Somebody found it, and they published it, and then this lady actually the story about it, man. But that's what made it amazing to me. This lady, this author, she's a lady from England, and she came and wrote the novel based on the actual written that was found, like, years after this guy died. I mean, spoiler alert, at the end of the story, he ran into a guy who was an abolitionist, and he went to England and he worked for the guy. He wasn't a slave no more. And he was able to learn to read, effectively and write. And this guy wrote his memoirs, and somebody found him, and that's how they made the book. That's amazing, man. That just gives me, like, man, just write it down. you know. But yeah, man, Sugar Honey. It's one of the best books I read. And the funny thing is, I was just in a library, and I just, looking for a good book, and I saw the title. I picked it up. I put it back down because I was like, no, you know. In my 20s, early 20s, teens, I did a lot of studying about slavery and African American history, and I studied it extensively. And about maybe 5 or 6 years ago, I said, I'm starting expanding my horizons. I want to know about the history of India and Vietnam and other places, and American history in general. So I don't really do like the slave movies and the slave books and things like that, but this is one of those, they just caught me. It just bit me like a snake, you know. So that was cool. That was cool. This is a very good book. If you ever get a chance, read this book. Like I said, I hope they turn it into a movie, because it would be a great movie. I probably wouldn't watch it, but but I think it would be a great movie just to get people familiar with this character, you know. And it tells you a lot about slavery in the Caribbean on these islands because it was different than, you know, than what our ancestors went through in the American South, you know. So it's just different, you know. And even now, like when I read these and I read that other book, Sugar, and I'm really learning about the Caribbean because one of these days I'm gonna go to all these islands and I've met a lot of people from those places and I kind of understand them more, you know, based on what their ancestors went through and, you know, the climate and the politics and all. But all right, well, I got to get up in the morning. I need to think about a cool saying too that I can say like before I leave, you know. But I guess I just put up a number one, be number one. All right, good night.